Well, here I am, pretty much on time. By the way, Lucy's eating again. She's getting better. Don't know exactly what the problem was, but she seems to be getting better. And of course, I love her, so I'm careful about that. You know. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm 80 years. You have to understand, I'm 80 years old. I work at my house for. I don't work out of my house. I do this for personal enjoyment. And if somebody gets sick or somebody needs me, that takes priority. This is not the major priority in my life. Although like doing it, I love doing it. It's not my major priority. Lucy, my wife, my family, my grandkids, they're all way up above this place. Okay. Just thought I'd let you know in case you're wondering why I seem to have an attitude about I can do this whenever I want. And I don't have to care what you people think. That's not true. It's just that sometimes it's a necessity for me to be that way. All right? Okay. In the news this morning, there's been some speculation that security flyover, satellite reconnaissance, and one that indicates that Iran is rebuilding its nuclear facilities. Well, could be a couple of reasons for that. Safety, that make sure there's no radiation leaks or anything like that. Or it could be they're building something that they can use to blow a ship, blow something out of the water or hurt Trump because Trump is an idiot and doesn't know anything about diplomacy. And his art of the deal is all about seeing how much yelling and screaming it takes to make somebody give in. Not a good negotiator at all. There's a new thing out there now. They're called prediction markets. And people are starting to bet on these prediction markets. Here's an example of it. They had a question put up. Would Ronaldo cry? Yes or no? Ronaldo being the great soccer player from Portugal. And they actually had a 2 or 3 day investigation on this because they couldn't see any tears, but they said the intent was there. So they paid off millions of dollars. Or millions of dollars exchanged hands, let's put it to that way. Some lost, some won. Because they said he did cry. And now there's some conflict about that. There were actually no tears. Does crying require tears? I don't know. My eyes get watery at times when I get real, real sad. And sometimes I, a little bit of emotion that I consider, I'm upset about something. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes sometimes there's tears. Sometimes there's not. But that's part of life, that's my emotional spectrum is different than yours, and I usually cry out of sentimentality right now. Tragedy or sentimentality. I guess they're both the same thing. But I'll see something that'll bring back some memories and I'll cry about it. And then I'll, I don't like, I cry over some tragedies. Some tragedies I don't cry over at the time, I don't remember crying about my mother at the time, but I've cried a lot since then. Well, I knew she was going to die. It's not like it was a shock. I think shock has to be taken in. I think when you know something's coming and you've watched somebody suffer a little bit and then you look at them and you say, well, I guess she's where she wants to be right now, and she's probably better. She's with my brother. She loved my brother. I guess she loved me too. I was the one that was the pain in the ass the most, though. So I think she worried about me growing up, and I don't know whether I've ever really grown up, but I've made some. My last decisions were for my future have been good, but for my emotions not so good. So but take the good with the bad sometimes, and it balances out. Um, but I think that prediction market is like Las Vegas casinos, betting parlors ran years ago during the Super Bowl. You could bet on who was going to say "Hello, Mom" first, and what player on what team was going to say "Hello, Mom" first. You could bet that if you had the team, then you could bet which player, or you could just bet which player, regardless of the team. There's all kinds of bets going on like that, and you could bet during the game. You could bet the whole first half, first quarter, second quarter. During the break, you could stand there and bet, and then you could bet after halftime. There was a lot of money changed hands because people are stupid. And now I don't trust the game anymore because it's being sponsored by various betting conglomerates, uh, online betting conglomerates and whatnot. And I don't trust the game that much anymore. So I think it's like every other sport. It's become contaminated by the gambling industry. Uh, a South African player playing the World Cup passed away today at 25. He had, according to everything you read about, the kid had a great future in front of him on the international level, but they don't have a cause of death. His grandmother had died a few weeks ago, so maybe it was something genetic or something. I don't know. Uh, I feel bad about that. I don't know that there's anything that could have been done to prevent that. I don't think it was anything to do with play. He didn't appear to be injured or anything at any time during the game. But heart disease, enlarged hearts, things like that are always concealed by athletes because athletes have this desire to play, and they don't understand that these health rules are there to protect them. They think that they can't play, and they resent the fact that they're being prevented from doing what they want to do. They should say it should be my decision if I die doing it or not. It's what I love. I want to do it, and they'll sometimes hide things. Uh, so that could be the case there. Nobody knows. They'll find out soon. As soon as I don't know what the laws are concerning autopsies and whatnot. So now, just because I've been talking about Iran and South Africa and Ronaldo crying and everything like that, you think I'm done with Trump? You think I'm going to leave him alone? Absolutely not. ICE, I forget the shooter that was involved. I can't click back right now to look at it, but the van the guy was driving has been held by ICE and not released. And they're still not releasing it to the DA so that they can investigate the crime. Now, I said this before. ICE seems to act like it's a shield for killing people. If you want to kill somebody, what do you do? Lucy, stop that. Hey, no. If you want to kill somebody, join ICE because it appears that they cover up every shooting. And they're not liable for the results of the shooting that they do, and I think that's kind of dangerous. I'm not so sure there's anything we can do about it because the government agencies, the courts, and everything are kind of protecting these guys, these ICE guys. They're allowed to walk around with masks on without identifying themselves. If I was a mayor of a major city or something like that, I would put forth the National Guard or the local police force, state police force, and demand before these guys came in that they unmask themselves and show credentials saying they were who they were, and that they were actual law enforcement officers that were trained, and not a bunch of thugs that Trump hired for to intimidate voters or something else, which I think he's done. I think that even though they're under a government agency, that if and when Trump leaves, that these guys should all be fired instantly, and then they can reapply, and and if everything goes well, they'll be reinstated with their salary, depending on what their salary was, at a normal level, and that it should be, and for depending on their experience and whatnot. But they would be identified, have to wear name tags from now on, and everything like that. And they say, well, that's intimidating them. I said, well, your masks are intimidating the general public, and that's not, it's not a one-way street. They have a right to know who you are, or they can refuse to obey you because you're not showing any proper identification except a vest with sometimes a badge that's half obscured or something saying you're ICE agents. Uh, Excuse me, give me a can of spray paint and, a stencil sheet, and I'll, make up my own ice vest for you. It's kind of not really a symbol of anything. There's another story. I forgot that they named the seal, but I forgot how they named it. There's a giant elephant. I don't know whether it's an elephant seal or it's just a giant seal. Over 1,000 pounds, comes back to this island that he was born on. And the deal is that they're usually born, and this is in New Zealand, in Tasmania. They're usually born and come back to the island that they're born on, but there's usually another island. I think I don't know how many thousand miles away it is from where he is. That is usually the birthing place of 90% of the seals. This one happened to be birthed on this island, and they think that the mother just had, was young and inexperienced, and the pregnancy was due, and she didn't have time to get to the island, so she gave birth on this island. And now the seal comes back every year, 2 or 3 times a year. But you got 1,000-pound seal that eventually will end up being could be as big as 8,000 pounds. I mean, he flattens traffic cones now. He loves to flatten traffic cones. Imagine if he decides he wants to flatten a car. They don't know what to do with him. I guess, getting a wildlife crew in there and sedating him and transporting them to the island where he can meet a female, because he's never going to meet a female. He's the only guy there, male or female. He's the only seal on this island. There's none in the waters around them, apparently. So I don't know. That's what I would do. I mean, I would, sedate. I'd have to talk to a wildlife, somebody who knows something about these creatures. Can it be done safely? Could he be transported? And of course, it's probably a very big expense. And Tasmania is really not interested in getting rid of him. And when he's 8,000 pounds, they're going to be interested in getting rid of him, because you can't stop an 8,000-pound seal from coming over and deciding he wants to sleep on your car. I mean, you could set up areas. You could set up areas for him to hang out in, but that's not what he does. He wanders around town and everything. He's kind of a celebrity, and they like it. It's a tourist attraction, but he's a wild animal, and he's big, and he can hurt you. People don't think about that. Look, I go outside and I make friends with some strange creatures from time to time, and part of sometimes that deprives me of the ability is because I'm afraid of them, because I don't know what they're going to do. I had the same experience with dogs. If I can't trust my opinion of the dog right away, I'm not real anxious to let Lucy get close to them or whatever. But I've decided that I let Lucy loose, and if she wants to go play with the dog, she'll play with the dog. If the dog gives off the wrong vibe, she'll come back to me and sit by my side. That's just what we do, Anyhow, I think the seal's a good story. I still don't understand why. I guess because it's bringing money in, 30 or 40,000 people come to visit the seal, it's good for the economy, I guess. And I guess he hasn't done any, gone into a store or anything like ripped a store apart. Once he does that, then they'll put him on a, you know. But the last one they had someplace else down there, they shot him. Uh, the government came in, another country was involved, and the government came in and they shot him, euthanized him. And I say, yeah, I guess you can't move them. I guess they're creatures of habit, you know. I don't know. Not real sure about seals, you know, especially that big. You know, I've seen harbor seals. I was around a bunch of harbor seals and whatnot. And you gotta understand, they're wild animals. They will nip at you, you know. It's like I've come in contact in the United States with two Saint Bernards. And both of these dogs had habits of coming up behind you and biting, nipping at your ass all the time, you know. I mean, I solved the problem. I turn around and punch them between the eyes, you know, and it seems to solve the problem. They leave me alone after that. But I mean, I don't want to do that because I can hurt the dog, and I'm not trying not to hurt the dog, you know. But you know, somebody biting your ass, you're kind of irritating. So that's just big animals are a problem. Now you get 1,000-pound seal now that could I don't know how many years it'll take, but a full-grown seal of this particular species goes 8,000 pounds. That's as big as a car, you know. And then if he decides he wants to flatten something, it better not be you, you know. That's just something you have to take into consideration. Wild animals have no ability to. They can decide they like you, but they have no ability to. A lot of them don't. You know, I mean, you take cheetahs. Cheetahs are basically semi-domesticated to begin with. You know, and but these people that play with lions, animals are funny. You know, you stroke them the wrong way, and you get a problem. You know, or you refuse to do something you do every day. Let's say every day, every time you see them, you have a specific type of food on you, and then they're hungry. It's, you know, something, they're in a somewhat bad mood, and they show up, and you don't have that food. Things get ugly pretty quickly, and it's just nature. It's not that they're vicious animals. You know, they're never. They can. The thing about the size of these animals is they can kill you with, you know. So be careful. Anyhow, that's it for me. Won't be here tomorrow. It's Sunday. Aren't you glad? You know, you get to do whatever you want to do. I don't do Sundays because the football season comes. I'm not about to, you know, worry about this. I watch every football game there is. I pay a lot of money to be able to do that, and I watch football all the time. So, with that, I will say to you guys, ciao, and we'll talk on Monday morning. We'll see what's going on. Things have been relatively quiet for a while, so I'm sure something is in the wind. Anyhow, take care, everybody, and I'll see you on Monday.